Hi guys, and today I'm gonna be covering waiting in line to cross by vehicle at any port. At any port. These durations could be from anywhere from 2 to 6 hours on holidays, up to 8 hours, just to cross by vehicle. And the majority of this time, you're waiting in your vehicle, having to try to actually, you know, keep the kids quiet. From your medication with you. So you have to factor in a lot of different scenarios, and you have to actually be ready for any of these actual uh, emergencies or life to come up. And like I mentioned before in other videos, in another video, when you have an ill relative with you, you risk that actual that in that long duration that of them passing away. And it's a reality, and that happens more than you would actually think. And so when you're waiting on this actual duration in line, there's a lot of what they call now road rage. There's a lot of that actually happening because people cut you off. They try to get into your lane because your lane's moving faster. For whatever reasons. You know what I mean? And they the situations get so bad that people get out of their car and they just start duking it out. And it happens. It happened a lot. So people honking and people cussing each other out. And this particular story I'm gonna talk about, it's kind of rare. What it is rare. It's a rare circumstance, a rare scenario, for the fact that it should have never got this. It should have never got to this point, right? But for whatever reason, it happened. And apparently this 37-year-old U.S. citizen was getting ready to cross. He lived in Mexico, but if you can actually be a U.S. citizen and live in Mexico, if the actual immigration does not actually catch up to you, you know what I'm saying? It does happen. You can get deported if you're a U.S. citizen, just for the fact that you're there illegally. And so just like you get over here, just the same thing happens down south. So apparently this actual individual was waiting to cross, and out of the blue, a motorcycle is actually next to his vehicle, and he proceeds to actually cut him off and get in front of the actual his car, and is called next to actually by the inspector to come to the booth. But let me explain why this is a big deal. Okay, so now you got your people behind you and yourself to actually cross, to actually get called by the agent to uh, actually come forward to the actual booth. Right now, scenario, let's say for example this motorcycle is something's wrong with this motorcycle. The paperwork's actually wrong for the actual the driver. So now they have to shut your lane while they take this individual to secondary. uh, a lot of stuff can happen, and that can delay your crossing from anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes or even 30 minutes while they take care of this actual individual, and you're stuck behind this closed gate with nowhere to go for the fact that uh, they have poles all along, so you can't go left or right. And they do for this specific reason, but this motorcycle got in front of this actual vehicle, and as the actual motorcycle is cutting them off going to the booth, they're cussing each other out. The driver and the actual motorcycle driver, they're cussing each other out. Apparently the motorcycle driver told the inspector something, and he dismissed the actual motorcycle. So now he waves the actual vehicle forward, and as he gets to the actual booth, this inspector proceeds to tell him to get out of the vehicle. And that's weird in itself, okay? Because you don't have that much room to actually to maneuver as it is. Now you're gonna have an open door and a person coming out. That's not protocol. That's not protocol. If you're going to actually conduct this type of procedure, you have to have backup. You have to have backup for the fact that you don't know what he's bringing out from that vehicle. And there is a code you can call out, and they, believe it or not, agents will come out from anywhere. They'll drop what they're doing to go back up that lane, right? So now, as they're coming face to face, this inspector tells him to get his hands up, and at the same time does a maneuver where he actually throws the actual individual on the floor by himself and proceeds to start kicking him in the back of his head, and this actual what you would call a passenger driver screams out for help, and screams out for help loud enough to where other agents respond. Not because the inspector pushed a button, not because he called for help, no, because they heard this actual individual on the floor screaming. So now backup gets there, he backs off. They back the inspector off of him, and they proceed to hook him up with handcuffs. Now he's bleeding, and they take him to a holding cell, still handcuffed, and now they handcuff him to the actual a bench. Okay, so he still has no way to actual tend to his injuries, and he is bleeding from his face. So as this all gets played out, other inspectors go in there and they start actually trying to calm the situation down, actually take control and tend to this actual individual's injuries on their own. They actually they sway him not to actually seek medical help, and with the rules of, hey, it's going to cost you a lot because you have to pay for the actual ambulance service, and for them to treat you for just minor superficial wounds, it's going to cost you a lot. And this guy didn't have insurance. He was a U.S. citizen, but he had no insurance. So he pointed that out. So they kind of steer him that way to not to make it a bigger deal, than what it was, And after that, they proceeded to actually dismiss him and clear him, and actually let him go on his way to what he was tending to crossing the border, right? So he gets let go. No charges are ever brought up right at that. So he goes to his mom's house on the U.S. side, and is pretty upset, and he vents out in the social media, Facebook, and he's pretty upset this time, and he actually states that he's actually going to retaliate against this particular agent, and after a few minutes, Facebook takes it down, but the FBI is actually notified for the fact that you just actually threatened a peace officer, right? So the FBI is involved for the fact that it's a federal agent. So 3 days pass, nothing is actually brought up. There's been no contact for the 3 days. So he proceeds to actually cross by foot, pedestrian, at that same port, to which his name alerted to the agents, and technically, I don't know if it's still the same system, but that would be called a tech hit. A tech hit actually alerts the agents of something is actually wrong with this actual individual or the individual's vehicle. And so now the actual inspection agent notifies this individual that the FBI is looking for him, and the FBI is on their way and to speak to him. So after about an hour of him waiting in a holding cell, the FBI arrives, talks to him, and actually shows him a printed out picture of his actual post on Facebook. So now they actually start questioning him, and they want to know what's up. You know what I mean? They want to know what's up, and lo and behold, he explains why he was actually angry about how it came to him actually posting that. And according to him, by the way, he has no lawyer by this time, and he has no intention of actually pursuing any kind of legal or any kind of complaint. There's none of the sort. You know, everything's squashed according to him, right? But since now the FBI is involved, the FBI was actually surprised to hear that complaint from this actual individual. They had no idea what led to this actual post, because there was nothing on that. There was no complaint. There was no report by this actual assaulting agent. So therefore, there's no crime that was committed. So that was news to them, and apparently they took that serious and actually conducted an investigation. And now the Attorney General's involved and so forth. And this happened a few months before he was actually notified again, saying that there's actually going to be charges, and he's going to have to actually testify of what happened to him, you know. And of course, by now you think, you know, he has a bunch of lawyers waiting to represent him, you know what I mean, and hopefully, you know, he gets something compensation out of it, because you know, that was totally uncalled for, and I've never actually witnessed anything like that. And you know, it does happen, but you know, this could have just easily been swept under the rug if it wasn't for him actually posting that actual threat, you know. And we'll see how it plays out. This actual agent's suspended right now with pay, and he's looking at, you know, charges of an actual of a law enforcement violating this individual's civil rights, and with bodily injury. And he'll get a few months of actual federal time, and of course he'll be fired from customs if he's found guilty, you know. And there's video, and there's actual witnesses to this. So, you know, when this happens, you know, it just makes you wonder, you know, how much does not get reported. You know, if it wasn't for the FBI following up on that actual threat, nobody would have even brought this up, because he was not making a fuss. He was not out to sue anybody. He was not out to get vengeance in turning this guy in. Nothing at all. So we'll see how this plays out. Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.